In the Cage, powered by Sportology TV. My name's Ouney. This is Adam Catterall, the MMA UFC expert.
Whoa.
I'm going to put you as an expert. I look on TV, and Adam Catterall's covering boxing. He's covering UFC, covering everything. How's life treating you?
It's good, man. Just bought a new kitchen with all this work that I'm getting.
I like it.
I'm only messing. No, it's good. I can't complain. I know that we all want to be in arenas, watching events and various things like that. But this is, I suppose, the next best thing in it. At least stuff is still going on. At least the UFC only missed 3 weeks. Yeah. What was it? May the 9th we came back, didn't we, with Ferguson, Gaethje, and it's just not skipped a beat since.
Let's talk about some of the UFC that went first before I talk about the mega show that's happening this weekend. Let's talk about Colby Covington.
Oh, mate.
Tyron Woodley, big fight, but he just absolutely ran the show on that night.
It didn't live up to the grudge match we all expected it to be, did it? You know, Tyron looks a shadow of his former ferocious self. For anybody that was just tuning into that at the weekend, listening to the hype that I was giving it, former welterweight champion and what have you, he just wasn't there. And it's a shame, really, because he doesn't look like he wanted to be in the octagon. If you're not going to want to be in the octagon against the geezer that you allegedly absolutely detest, then big questions have got to be asked. Only he can answer those, whether he wants to continue or not. I know he's come out on social media this week saying that he wants to continue. But when you actually analyse the top of the welterweight division, it's going to be very difficult for him to swim with them sharks because there's some serious kids there. I don't think Colby got out of second gear. I'll be honest. I think he just absolutely cruised the fight, and there's bigger and better fights for him now going forward at 170.
Let's talk about them bigger and better fights. He finished the fight, he called out Masvidal, called out a few other names. Realistically, who do you want to see him there with in his next fight?
Leon Edwards.
Yeah, I thought so as well. It just makes sense. Leon Edwards has been waiting for a long time. He did have the opportunity for the Masvidal fight, but he told Dana he wasn't ready, and we know Dana's ruthless. Dana, if you're not ready, Dana does sort of put you behind at the back of the list. But it does make sense, that fight, right?
I think so. I mean, I can totally understand the narrative of Colby against Masvidal. Again, they hate each other, and it does play out quite nicely. But I think if they're going to do Masvidal-Diaz, which is the rumour for January, you've obviously got Burns is going to be next for Usman, so he's taking the championship fight. What's left for Colby? Does Colby sit on his backside and wait, or does he fight Leon Edwards in a world title eliminator? I think that makes the most amount of sense. You've got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the nicest call out ever that I've ever seen in my life for Leon Edwards. Again, that's a wonderful fight. I'd love to see Edwards and Wonderboy going at it. And then you've got this steamroller called Chimaev coming up behind everybody, he's mowing out middleweights, and he can make welterweight, of course. Listen, get a wriggle on, lads, because that Chechen Swede is coming your way, let me tell you.
Before I talk about the hype train, I do want to address something very serious in regards to Colby Covington. Yeah. There were certain remarks he said in the post-fight press conference, certain things he said to Kamaru Usman. When you listen to them, they are deemed racist. You know, there was a sort of racist term to them. What do you make of them? Because you've seen them. You know, I saw them, and straight away I found it hard to sort of believe what he was saying. But what do you make of what he was saying at the time?
It was racist, mate. There's in my interpretation of racism, if you're going to use stereotypes in order to jibe at somebody from someone's heritage, it's racist. I'm all for trash talk. Love trash talk. I think it helps build fights. And traditionally, since he's created this character, Colby, he's been brilliant at it. He's been absolutely legendary at trash talk, and it's really brought me into wanting to watch him. Whether it's wanting to watch him win or lose, it doesn't really matter. I'm tuning in to watch him, and I think that's the whole purpose of it. But I think he went too far at the weekend. I think he overstepped the line with politicised sport, which I don't think we necessarily need to do. I know America is going through a very difficult time right now with the BLM movement and everything that's going on with the political and presidential election with Donald Trump. It seems that you're either on one side or the other. And I think he went too far with his choice of words, and I hope that the powers that be at the UFC do address this, because it's not the first time we've done this. And I know we shouldn't just single out Colby. When Conor and Khabib came together, you know, I mean, Conor went too far, and I was vocal then saying, listen, man, we don't need to be going to that realm. Yeah, trash talk, yeah, get involved in stuff, but when you start calling out people's heritage and family members and all the things that they do as part of their culture, I think that's too far, and Colby most certainly went too far for me at the weekend anyway.
100%. Let's move on to the choo-choo train, the hype train, the Khamzat Chimaev, man. The guy just seems to just produce and produce. This time around, you know, he was against a tough opposition. People like, maybe, you know, he'll fight slowly, but mate, it took one punch and it was over. 17 seconds. Crazy. What do you make of this guy?
Well, for those that don't know too much about Chimaev, right, what happened, when they originally went to Fight Island, this guy was not signed by the UFC. Yeah. He turned up saying, if you've got any fights that fall off, give me the shout. So they've given him the shout in the middleweight division. Yeah. Then he says, right, I'm not going home. Give me another fight. So he creates a new record there with the turnaround of fights. So he won 2 fights, 2 different weight categories in 10 days. That's not been done before. I think the previous record was 13. So that's in itself, he creates this buzz. He then goes and gets himself an American working visa so he can go and work over in the States because he didn't have one. Dana sorts it out for him. And the 2 performances on Fight Island kind of insinuated that he was from this wrestling background, that he was about picking people up, putting them on their backsides and giving them a bit of a slamming, right? Very similar to what we've seen Khabib do in the lower weight categories. But loads of people like Jimmy Manaru, who works in that Stockholm gym, kept telling me, nah, mate, he's a kickboxer, this kid. He's just playing with people. He's a kickboxer. So at the weekend, he's fighting Gerald Meerschaert. And again, I thought Meerschaert might be made for him because of the wrestling thing. Nah, man. He just smacked him, didn't he? I mean, like you said, 17 seconds. He landed 4 strikes, didn't get hit once in that fight. His record at the moment is something like 100. He's landed 196 strikes in 3 fights. He's been hit twice. And he's blown these kids away in quick time. He is just unreal. I'm really fearful for someone like a Demian Maia who's coming. Guys are on the other side of the hill now, you know what I mean? If you're going to pair Chimaev up with somebody, pair him up with somebody equally as ambitious, equally as young, someone who's climbing the hill. So it means something to him. Don't feed him a legend because that's just unfair.
So who do you see? Because we know, and that name's been touted, we know that's in place somewhere in the future. There's been a certain Marcus Perez come out as well and said that he wants to fight him. There's been a few names now who've seen the sort of rise of Chimaev and want in on that. Some people have gone hiding as well. It's crazy. Some people have actually gone hiding.
Nobody's calling him out.
No, nobody's calling him out, but what do you want to see from Chimaev in the next maybe 1-2 fights? Pick
a weight category. Which one? Which one do you want? Right. If you want to do middleweight, make the Yoel Romero fight. Right. That's all I'll say on that because that would just be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
God.
Welterweight, like I said, don't feed him anybody. I think at the top of the welterweight division, we've got this logjam of guys who have earned the right to be challenging Usman for titles. I'd like someone like maybe Jeff Neal Magny, Vicente Luque, those guys in and around 9, 10 and 11. Yeah. Guys that are still hungry, going up, you know what I mean? Like they're clambering for it. Give him one of them guys, but again, how long will it last? He's just a different level, this kid. He's not going to be too far away from fighting the Wonder Boys, the Leon Edwardses and the Masvidals of this world because of just the rate that he's going. And Dana loves him. If Dana loves you, you're going to move fast.
Let's talk about this weekend's mega show. And I personally think it could be fight of the year the way it is. Israel Adesanya, Paulo Costa. Man, talk to me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this fight. Just talk to me about this fight.
You've nailed it, man. It's the fight of the year. Everything. I mean, we've been blessed to have some real crackers this year. Even like from January when Conor came back, and then we bled into all these world title fights that we've had since lockdown with Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje going at it. We've had some belters with Poirier and Hooker, and obviously we had Zhang Weili, didn't we, and Joanna Throwdown, which was an unbelievable fight. But there's real animosity. If you look at them aesthetically, you've got the skinny champion against the Hulk. You've got 2 elite level strikers, and when I say elite level strikers, you've got one that's really technical and one really precise. Against power. I mean, you look at Costa, he's got muscles on muscles on muscles. He comes forward. He's the only guy, from my recollection, that has walked down Yoel Romero and got the job done. Man, but from a stylistic point of view, you look at it and you think he's tailor-made for Israel Adesanya. Yeah, Izzy's going to have to go through the storm. He's going to have to weather something. Of course he is, because you can't avoid that, what's coming your way for 25 minutes. But because he's so precise with his striking, because he's so technically gifted, I think he'll be able to pick Costa off, and I think the belt will be staying in New Zealand just because of how good he is from a technical standpoint. And also, as well as that, and this is no disrespect to Costa, we need superstars, don't we? We need guys that can cross over, guys that can transcend the sport, guys that can inspire the next generation of fan. Adesanya's got that in abundance, man. He's an absolute rock star, and if he can hold on to that belt, then I think the middleweight division's in a really good place.
Big prediction there by Adam Catterall. Let's talk about the fight below that. Yeah. Dominic Reyes, Jan Blankovic. Talk to me. It's just a great card throughout. When you look at fight by fight, it's probably one of the best, pumped up cards this year. But just talk to me about that fight.
Well, the light heavyweight division's been locked down on it for the best part of 10 years. John Jones has dominated it, and when he wasn't about getting himself in all sorts of trouble, DC stepped up and he became the man. Now DC's obviously retired. John Jones has decided to just take a step back. Is he going to heavyweight? Well, hopefully he is, which has obviously left his title vacant at the weekend. Now, a lot of people think Dominic Reyes, who's in this fight at the weekend, beat Jones last time out. You've obviously got Jan Blachowicz, who has had some stellar fights recently. He's the geezer that gave us that one of those knockout of the years against Luke Rockhold recently. And these guys are most certainly the top two contenders in order to throw down. I personally think, because of the wrestling prowess and the size of Dominic Reyes, I think he'll get the job done just. But I won't be surprised if Jan Blachowicz knocks him out. It's a really tight technical fight. And the best thing about it is that in the light heavyweight division now, you've got so many different guys that could be champion within 2-3 months. I think it's going to be like a hot potato. I don't think you're going to have a guy like John Jones reigning supreme for, a year, 2 years or whatever yet. I think Rakic is coming through. He will probably be champion at some point. Once he's cleaned up at middleweight, he might step up. He might go up there and have a little bit of a play. You've got some other guys coming through as well. Yuri Prochazka, who's shot to fame on Fight Island. Mate, I reckon over the next year to 18 months, you might have 2 or 3 different light heavyweight champions, which is great for the division. Really good.
Adam, are you going over to Fight Island? Have you booked your ticket?
Don't tell the wife. I'm going for the last one. I'm going for the 254, which is Khabib against Gaethje.
Mate, you know what? You've said it now, so we're going to have to talk about it.
Yeah.
What a fight. Gaethje, there was a lot of people when he stepped in for that fight versus Tony Ferguson, I don't know if people were writing him off at that time because people just wanted to see the Khabib fight. So maybe just naturally people wanted Tony Ferguson to beat him. But on the night, he was just fantastic, Gaethje was. Just talk to me about that performance, first of all.
Well, when he came to the UFC, there was a lot of hype about him. And he's fought, for example, he fought Dustin Poirier in I think it was his second or his third fight. And he ended up getting beat. Dustin Poirier was great that night. And a lot of people were looking at Justin Gaethje going, all right, okay, he can't live up to the UFC levels. He was great first fight, won. I think he lost his next 2. But ever since that moment, I don't know what he's done. He's gone away. He's just reassessed. He's sharpened his game up. He has been absolutely mustard. Really, really good. And going into that fight, like you said, against Tony Ferguson, because there was so much hype on the fight with Ferguson and Khabib, people were going, please, Tony, just come through this. Please, Tony, just come through this. Justin Gaethje were having none of it, man. He absolutely leathered the living daylights out of him. He was brilliant that night. A real standout, coming-of-age performance, which then sets up this fight on Fight Island for 254 against Khabib, where people are really going now, he could be the antidote. He could be the guy that takes the eagle. Now, listen, nobody's done this before. Khabib's undefeated through 33 fights, I think it is. He's absolutely unbelievable. He's got a particular style. Some people like it, some people don't, but it gets the job done, and he's consistent in winning. Is he the best of all time? A lot of people might say yeah. But they look at Justin Gaethje and they go, right, he's got the power. Even though he doesn't use it, he's got the wrestling pedigree to be able to live at least for a period of time with Khabib, and that is what is making this matchup probably even more hotly anticipated than what Ferguson would have been, because of just how he dismantled Ferguson. So, mate, that is the cherry on top of the Fight Island cake. That is going to be unbelievable.
And who are you going with in that fight? It's hard to write off Khabib. For me, it's very hard to write off Khabib, but people wrote off Justin before as well, and he sort of produced. So, go on. Don't sit on the fence.
No, I'm going to sit on the fence, but I promise you, we'll do something over Zoom when I'm on Fight Island and I've looked into the eyes of these guys. And the reason for this is because Khabib's had a horrible year. And he's obviously suffered the loss of his father, and all these horrific things have happened in his life. Obviously, the fight fell off at the start of the year and what have you. Where's his head at? That's my only question. Where's his head at? Is he here for the right reasons? Does he want to be here, or is he just trying to honour a memory? If he really wants to be here, I'd back Khabib. But if he's even halfway out this octagon against this guy, you could see something very unique where he suffers a loss.
Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. This was Adam Catterall. Like he said, we'll speak close to Khabib versus Gaethje, close to the time when he's on Fight Island. And he'll give us the insights. He'll look at the eyes. He'll tell us everything that goes on. Firstly, guys, make sure you subscribe, like, share, do everything you can to support the channel. This was Adam Catterall. Adam, thank you very much for talking to us. Top man.